Sometimes they are, and sometimes they're not. Welcome to this episode of Am I the Asshole? Our first one is from Quizzical Nonsense. Am I the asshole for kicking a pregnant woman out of her seat? Okay, so this happened a few hours ago and I've only just calmed down, because I hate conflict. Basically, I was doing a long travel day, 5-ish hours, so I booked my train in advance to ensure that I had a reserved seat. When I get on the train, a woman is in my seat, so I politely inform her that I think that's my seat and show her my ticket and ask her to move. She checks her ticket and just says, "Well, I must have sat in the wrong seat," and puts her head down. I say that it's my seat and could I please sit in it. At this point, her partner sitting opposite her starts speaking at me in what I perceive to be an aggressive tone. He suggests I find another seat, which there are none because it's busy, and I say, but I booked that seat, and there are no other seats available in the carriage. He then raises his voice and says, "Well, someone's in our seats," and that his missus is pregnant. I say I understand and that I have a heart defect, which I do, and said everyone has their own medical issues and reasons for standing for long periods of time might be difficult. And here I could be the asshole. I ask him not to speak to me in an aggressive tone and that I will make a complaint. He then starts swearing at me and I ask him to stop. Eventually the woman gets up and allows me to sit there and he continues to berate me, saying he hopes I feel good for myself and that I'm quiet now I have my seat, when really I just stopped engaging as I felt there was no point. One of the men who was sat beside him offers that him and his partner sit in the seats opposite me. It's a table seat, at which point he sits his partner down and then laughs at me and points in my face. Eventually, when the ticket inspector comes around, they are asked to move to their assigned seats, and she asks if I'm okay, as another passenger has made a complaint on my behalf. Even so, was I the asshole? Should I have just left them alone as she was pregnant? And did I in any way escalate the situation? Edit. As I don't know how able I'll be to respond to all the comments, thank you sincerely to everyone that is engaged with this post. I've learned a lot about myself and my ability to let anxiety and overthinking get in the way of trusting my decisions. I honestly came into writing this thinking that I escalated the situation, so to have people affirm that it's just standing my ground and that it's alright has been really gratifying. It has taught me, however, that I have a way to go with standing up for myself and not being such a people pleaser. If I don't get to respond, just know I appreciate your engagement with my post nonetheless, and that this has really helped calm me and give me insight after an incredibly stressful situation. I fail to see how one can be the asshole for just asserting that they want to sit in the seat that they paid for and reserved. I feel like the real asshole in the situation is that lady's partner, considering a real man would happily stand up to give a woman their seat, especially if that woman's pregnant. But we know he's not a real man, just a loud dog that barks. This next one is by Pissed Off Equestrian. Am I the asshole for sending my little sister a vet bill after she tried to get my horses to breed? I, 33 female, am a horse breeder and own 10 horses. I have a little sister, 19 female, who was a surprise baby for my parents. They didn't think they could have more after me, so she's quite babied, even now. They begged me to take her on to help her get some work, and I agreed, but made it clear she'd have to work hard and there would be no slacking. She has generally been fine with it and enjoys being around the horses, though I do have to light a fire under her arse at times to get her to keep working. The problem, however, arose when a local animal rescue asked me to help them. They had a stallion surrendered to them and they didn't have the capabilities to take care of him. I had room, so I agreed to take him. I've also arranged a full genetic testing on him to ensure he's alright, as it seems he was gotten through backyard breeders. I've also made an appointment to have him gelded, as I don't know enough about him to risk him not being gelded. He has his own paddock and is kept in a separate stable than my own horses just to be safe. I'm slowly socializing him, but I'm taking no risks. I've been letting my sister sit in on my breeding planning for 2025, and my main stars are going to be Dante and Willow. They've had 4 successful and healthy fowls who are going to go into dressage. I know they work well together, and Willow has had a 2-year break, so she'll be ready to go again this year. The first warning bell I overlooked was that my sister asked about the new stallion and when I'd be breeding him. I explained he'd not be bred as there was too many unknowns. I don't know his health, and I don't have a good enough grasp of his temperament. She protested that he was prettier though, prettier than Dante, and I explained that there was more to this than looks. I thought she understood and didn't think further on this. Yesterday, an emergency came up and I had to leave my sister alone for an hour. I told her that she could take an hour break. When I came back, I found to my horror she'd put Willow in the paddock with the new stallion. I asked her what the fuck she was doing, and she told me she just thought they'd work well together, and she was doing me a favor. I got Willow out of there, but not before the new stallion bucked and reared quite a bit from stress. I got Willow out of there and set about calming him down. I told my sister to get home and not come back, shouting at her quite a bit. I then had the vet come out and check them both fully to ensure they'd not hurt each other. My one relief is Willow isn't in estrus yet. I had the bill sent to my sister at my parents' house. They called me today in a panic asking what the hell this was. When I explained, they told me I was being unfair and she didn't understand, that she couldn't pay this and was being cruel, and my sister was crying. I told them she did understand, she just didn't care, and that she could pay or they could pay, but I wasn't. They are freaking out over how they'll afford this. Am I taking it too far? I like how the parents try to say the 19-year-old sister doesn't understand, but clearly she had a good enough understanding when the older sister, the OP, explained to her very clearly exactly how things worked. I definitely don't think OP's an asshole for sending the bill, because she tried to explain to her sister, the sister just failed to listen. And our final one is from Deleted. Am I the asshole for telling my mom not to babysit anymore when my husband changed his mind? My husband is a lawyer, and I'm an engineer. We both have intense careers, but he wanted a second child. I was happy with our daughter, but he really wanted another child. We now have 2 daughters, aged 3 and 1, and I came back from maternity leave and my mom took over full-time caring for them. We both work full-time, so she takes them when we work. My mom is a nurse, but quit to look after our kids. I insisted we should pay her the going rate for daycares in the area, which is around $1,500 a child, so we pay $3,000 for her to care for our children, cook for them, etc. She will also have to pick them up sometimes as we may need to be in the office early. My husband complained a lot about how expensive it was to pay her. He makes $140K and I make $110K, so we can afford to pay her. But he thinks we're overpaying her, and complained about it to her face. My mom is not very confrontational, but she got very upset. I argued with him on this for months, until I decided that it was better for her to go back to work and for us to use daycare. Finding a daycare was hard, and now we pay $1,800 a child for daycare, and daycares obviously will not pick up your children, nor will they cook for them. We have less time now, and at a higher cost for our children to be sick a lot during the winter season. So far this year, we have been sick as an entire household 3 times. I was on a business trip and my husband was late picking up our children, which resulted in a $75 late charge, which my mom would not have charged extra for. My husband is now demanding that my mom leave her job and go back to babysitting our children, but I won't let her because he did no research into the real cost of childcare and kept complaining how expensive it is even when I showed him. My mom, even part-time, makes $4,300 a month as a nurse, and I told my husband if we want her doing the childcare, we need to pay her that amount. Remember, we already pay $3,600 for childcare. He wants her to go back to the $3,000 charge and is angry and claims my mom is asking for too much for such a simple job and that a grandma taking care of her grandchildren is a privilege. I told her not to quit, and him that she isn't babysitting, which reduces his number of free hours and makes our lifestyle harder. So he's angry at me for demanding we pay her what I feel she's owed. My mom probably would do it for free if we wanted, but I definitely don't think that's fair. She needs to save for retirement, and she has bills as well. Am I the asshole here? 100% not the asshole. I fail to see how anybody would be considered an asshole for actually paying a daycare provider or wanting to pay the daycare provider what that daycare provider's actually worth. I feel like the husband kinda shot himself in the foot with this, complaining once, wanting to go back to that, but realizing it's not gonna happen. Be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. Alright, that's enough stories for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Am I the Asshole? If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons and super thanks contributors. Have a great day and stay safe out there.